Good afternoon, T-Wolves. Mr. Quentin here. Let's see here. What did we do today in social studies? We actually covered a couple of things, and it is mainly self-directed, but we did talk just a little bit as a group. If you head down here to quarter two, jump on into week of November 2nd. We'll pretend I'm second period, but you can do whatever period you are, of course. As soon as we get into week of November 2nd, we're going to jump over here to Thursday. You'll see there are two things going on. I had everybody spend about 10 minutes going over this culture vocabulary Quizlet. Folks, remember you are going to need to click on that link twice so that it will take you to the actual Quizlet. You will be signed in to Quizlet, so it will save all this wonderful stuff. And you'll be able to have access to wherever you left off. I do strongly recommend coming back and studying this. I will be recommending this as a study tool later on as we get into other quizzes and tests. So please make sure that you still have access to this Quizlet whenever you need it. So it is, as you can see, only 12 terms this time, so pretty easy to get through. Don't you worry about being able to get through all that in about 10 minutes, at least to get a base understanding of that vocabulary. Once you've spent your 10 minutes here in the vocabulary Quizlet, you can jump back into the Thursday folder, and here you'll see multiculturalism, which is what we did today. This is another digital notebook. This is a minor grade. It is 4 points and does need to be turned in by 11:59 tonight. So please make sure you get that in so you don't lose any points. We are doing this digital notebook. You're just filling it out as you go. There is a vocabulary alert, folks. Multiculturalism, the term. It is in your culture vocabulary Quizlet. It is, of course, a society where many different cultures live together. And before we go any further, think and ask yourself this question: is the United States a multicultural society? And after thinking about it for a few moments, hopefully your answer was yes. Yes, the United States is absolutely a multicultural society. So remember, though, as you are reading, to break your reading into chunks, right? Read a paragraph or perhaps half of a slide. Stop and think a moment or two, then read the next. Repeat as necessary, okay, folks? Don't forget, if you use Snap and Read or other related assistance tools, do that. Use that to your advantage. We are talking, of course, about multiculturalism. Let's say that 3 times fast. Multiculturalism, multiculturalism, multiculturalism. That's right, folks. You can say it 3 times fast, you win a prize. I don't know what the prize is, but you do win it. So you're going to start here by watching this short little video. If the video is giving you any kinds of problems, just make sure to watch the video in its entirety before trying to answer the question. All right. Basically, it's just kind of going over the idea of what multiculturalism is and a few of the benefits of it. And you can see here that I've already written that it helps people become more open-minded and tolerant, as well as prevents racism. That's the beauty of that's one of the many beautiful things about multiculturalism. You'll see here that we do have that definition, just like yesterday. The definition is in red. So I really want you to focus on knowing that definition of multiculturalism, okay? And then continue reading. Folks, here you go. This is where, again, I'm advising that you break your reading into chunks. Don't try and absorb the whole slide. Just read that first paragraph. Give yourself a few moments to absorb it. Move to your bullet point. Just read the bullet point. Give yourself a moment or two to absorb it. And continue that process as you go. Again, you're trying to break that reading into chunks. When you get to our slide here that talks about how culture is shared and learned, only worry about reading the first half of the slide. Give it a few moments to think about it. Then switch over and read that second section, okay? And then, of course, you'll want to look at the key points. Now, some of you have been asking today, what are key points? Well, if our slide is all about how culture is shared and learned, then key points are going to be things that help you understand that. Key points are going to be things that explain that. For example, the fact that culture is both shared and learned, the actual title statement here. So that could be a key point. Perhaps you might also read on and find how culture is not inherited, but that we pass our culture down from one generation to another. These are the things that are the key points. If you come here, we'll go on to how culture is dynamic, and it's asking how you might find an example of how culture is dynamic for you. And of course, again, you do get to read about how culture is all of these things so that you are able to understand that. Remember, chunk that reading, folks, break it into those manageable chunks. It's going to be talking about how culture is adaptive, how we adapt to things that happen to us and that we do through our culture. And so you'll be asked to put an image here and then explain it. I chose oil and how our search for oil has brought us into contact with all sorts of other cultures and has changed our environment for good and for ill, and how we've had to adapt through technology and through better understanding of our environment and better understanding of other cultures. That's changed our culture as well. So that's what you're going to be doing here. And then we have another one about how culture is integrated. Folks, when we think about integration, we're thinking about things coming together, how your culture has become part of another culture, or vice versa, how someone else's culture or perhaps another family member's different aspect of culture has become part of what you do and what you celebrate. And I used my example of how at Thanksgiving, we incorporate foods that represent the heritage of our family members. So we have different kinds of stuffing from our family up north. We have lasagna and ziti from our Italian family and more. So it gives us a way to be thankful for other things, not just for our family itself, but for what our family can do for us and how our extended family and also other cultures can be incorporated or integrated into our own. You get to see here how we can work through some pictures, and you get to choose one of the images and describe how it shows multiculturalism. I chose image number 2 and wrote about that here. And then it does ask what cannot be seen about their culture. What do we not know about these cultures? Do we think perhaps, can we say whether or not for sure these 3 children speak the same language? We don't know that. Are some of those children multilingual or bilingual? We don't know that, but we still do see that there are aspects of other cultures in these photos. Don't forget to look at how our culture is elastic. You get to pick some images that describe your personality because your personality does reflect your culture. You can see how I love computer gaming and I love Star Wars, so that's what I did for those. Last but not least, there's a little video here about a story about crayons, and it's asking how the story represents multiculturalism. So you'll be able to see about how the crayons represent each individual crayon represents their own kind of culture, but while they don't appreciate each other at the beginning, they do come to appreciate each other and realize all of the things that they can do together and how sometimes they even blend and mix and create a beautiful picture, a beautiful portrait. And that's because all of the crayons or different cultures came together. And that's all you have to do, folks. You get all that knocked out, go ahead and get it submitted for me, and then you are good to go. As always, if you have any questions, send me a note here in Schoology or send me an email. And I do hope that you have an absolutely amazing day. Mr. Quinton, out.